New Zealand has officially hit the 90% double dose mark, and here to chat to me about what that means and the importance of continuing our efforts is Associate Professor Helen Petousis-Harris, a vaccinologist at the University of Auckland. Helen, thanks so much for your time. First of all, what's your reaction on New Zealand hitting 90%?
Oh, naturally, as a vaccinologist, I'm quite happy to see that. That's great. It's fantastic progress. Of course, that's not a limit, and going a little further would be a great advantage because it's still leaving numerically a lot of people vulnerable or more vulnerable to the infection. But this is a fantastic achievement and so much better than so many other countries have managed to achieve.
Yeah, for sure. And as you said, how important is it really that we do continue to push on, especially for those who are unvaccinated? And you can imagine a lot of people sitting back thinking now that, you know, the rest of New Zealand's done the work, we got to that 90% milestone, but how important is it that we keep encouraging those who aren't vaccinated to go and get their vaccine?
I mean, it is important to get that up even further because actually, even though that's, say, 10% of people who are eligible, that adds up to big numbers, and the virus will find all of us, and people who don't have any sort of vaccine protection are more likely to get a lot more sick, and that's where we're going to see that burden on our health system, which was really what we want to avoid. So you know, some regions have actually got up. We've got Auckland at about 97% people have had a single dose, and 95% have had 2 doses. And I mean, I think now we're really starting to cook with fire there, and if we could achieve that everywhere, that would be amazing.
And if we just look at the numbers from the last few days this week in Auckland, we've seen such a steady decline in numbers coming down, right? So you've got to think that the vaccine and those high vaccine numbers are playing a huge role.
I mean, I think that is fair to say. And also in New Zealand, the bulk of us have only recently received 2 doses. So that means we're sort of at our peak performance, if you like, in terms of our immunity. And we're going to see that go down a bit, particularly in terms of being able to become infected. So that, you know, we are going to see a rise in cases. I guess what's really important is that people aren't, you know, we don't have a lot of people getting really sick. And then in time, you know, I can see that there's going to be a role for a booster, because once you see the impact of a booster, it's really quite dramatic because you end up with actually better immunity than you actually started out with after 2 doses. So I think, you know, we've still got a lot to play out yet, but we are now in I would say very good shape going into summer.
You mentioned the booster there, and most of us will be looking at that sort of in the first half of next year. But how important is it that we start sort of educating people around boosters and how effective they actually are going to be?
Yeah, I think what's really good to know is that those first 2 doses that you get are really effective, and over time, while you see people's antibodies declining, which is normal, you expect to see that, what's actually going on in the background, if you like, is this sort of maturation and the laying down of really solid immune memory. And also, as that memory goes down, it's actually better at fighting variants. So when you come along with the booster, that's what you're actually stimulating. You're stimulating immunity that's actually better than what you had before, and also at a higher level. So what we're seeing from overseas is that the boosters are actually really not only reinstilling that immunity, but actually enhancing it. So that's going to be an important component, I think, next year in keeping that keeping that transmission down, because people are less likely to get infected.
Yeah, and we only have to look across the world to see how Omicron started to take hold. So we saw some stats come out earlier this week about the efficiency of the Pfizer vaccine. Did any of that concern you, or should people be worried about the potential protection they will be able to get if Omicron finds its way here?
Yeah, I think what we're seeing is that certainly a booster is actually looking like it's going to enhance some of that immunity against this new variant, and there's a lot a lot we need to learn, but so far there is also some cautious optimism there. So, but it looks as though you're going to be in better shape if you have actually had a booster. So they might, like I said, might become important. Not now. You want to give some time too. You don't want to be running off for boosters as soon as possible. You want to give some time for your immunity to mature, and then next year, I think we'll see that coming into play.
When you talk about having time between, how long do you think is right? I mean, we've seen some countries already reduce the time between their second jab and their booster.
Yeah, I think that is a good question, and not one I'm sure of. It's certainly the best data I've seen, and it's very hard to compare between different studies, is that when a booster's occurred 6 to 8 months later, you're getting a very nice response. And I think, again, that's going to be important to sort of delve into what's the optimal timing and balancing that too, because some people will be, of course, at higher risk, and you're better to get that in earlier. So there's probably quite a lot to unpack there and think through about how you might kind of make your recommendations going forward.
Yeah, sounds like there'll be a little bit more to come on that. Thanks, Helen, for your insight. It's been great to hear your thoughts on that. For more on this story and to stay up to date with the latest COVID-19 news, just head over to nzherald.co.nz. Thanks for checking out our YouTube channel. To stay up to date with all the latest news from the New Zealand Herald, click the subscribe button below or check out one of the videos here, and head over to nzherald.co.nz for more details on these stories and more.